we both picked movies from the 70s, so it kind of says something about us. We also picked movies that if you're a fan of animals,
Oh.
it wasn't planned. It just so happened that we picked some pretty graphic movies when it comes to animal cruelty. Nothing like Cannibal Holocaust, I hope.
Man, close.
Yeah, some pretty wild shit that we're covering. So
Yeah.
the first movie we're covering is Tintorera, which is Spanish for tiger shark. This movie is so it's kind of funny with we were talking about Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg is responsible for one of the greatest exploitation movies of all time, Jaws.
Yeah.
Jaws just happened to break through to the mainstream. If that came out today, like unfortunately, I don't think it would have. If he did the exact same movie today, just with updated special effects, it wouldn't have anywhere near the impact, unfortunately. But Tito that is a Mexican film that came out in '77, which is a year or two after Jaws. But basically, it's about an. In the beginning, they say an American is coming.
Yeah.
Later, he clearly states he's a Mexican.
Yeah.
The actor is Mexican. It's about a dude who goes to an island paradise, is the only way I can describe this place.
Right. Or coastal, yeah.
Coastal paradise, yeah. And along the way, there's lots of partying, drinking, sexing, and
Yes.
there is a killer shark.
Yes, there's also a killer shark involved in this movie.
So Tintorera is, I would say, and the reason that I picked it is because Steven Spielberg, and we were kind of talking down on him, but he's responsible for doing so much for genre indirectly. But I mean, because of him, we have stuff like Piranha, which gives us Joe Dante, which goes to The Howling and Gremlins, and I mean, he gave us,
Duel, man.
Duel, and because of him, people did Grizzly and like that. So, I mean, he has a huge impact on genre film. Tintorera is its own take on Jaws. I would say that the best way to describe this movie is an orgy movie that happens to have a shark in it.
Yeah. I would say it's a orgy swinging, Mexican swinging, beach life living,
throuple having,
rumple having, sharks in the water fiasco, from start to finish. So let me ask you this though, because I didn't know. I expected exactly kind of what I got, honestly, from this movie, but I will say I found that it did a kind of an amazing job of keeping its story moving down the road. Like, it was kind of nonsensical, but it stayed on task.
It did. And you know what else it did a really good job of is that you never knew who was going to die.
Totally. As a matter of fact, we'll talk about it later. Yeah, no, we'll talk about the end here in a little while. But yeah, you had no idea who was going to die. Everybody was fair game. Intermittently, you have just like free love, man.
It's crazy. It's like it's the 70s. It's the late 70s, and it's notorious for sex and drugs. They have no drugs in this, so they double down on the sex.
Right.
And it's really funny because as open sexually as the 70s were, I don't know if now I'm three ways in orgies were a dime a dozen, I'm sure, but an actual throuple, like a full functioning couple of three, where there's no drama whatsoever. I don't think that seems like it's a new term. And
it must be, right? Well, and like let's enlighten everybody about how it starts. There's the first woman, right?
I'm sorry, I thought she was going to be a main player.
Me too. So for which, they kind of, she's in the movie for far too long, for all things considered. But
yeah, considering what happens to
her. So she is with the dashing bearded Mexican guy who arrives by seaplane. Yeah. And she gets fed up with his bullshit, I guess, one night, and then swims ashore to make the acquaintance of Manuel, I believe, or Miguel, excuse me. Yeah. Miguel, also a handsome, dashing very tan man with muscles.
Yeah, Andreas Garcia. If
Andreas
anyone,
Garcia, famous.
yeah, look him up. All his pictures are basically him completely nude, standing with
Beautiful.
appropriately placed wine bottles, steering wheels, like large objects, and he does it in this movie too.
Oh, numerous times. Oh, they got this guy naked as much as possible. It
Yeah,
was kind of amazing. And so she comes ashore to like I said, make his acquaintance. These guys kind of have they fight basically,
yeah,
and but that causes no real ill will as
the exact opposite.
the exact opposite. So we do have our first kill of the movie, which is that isn't animal related. Um, she's just going out for a morning swim. I don't think she's going anywhere particular, and
No, just skinny dipping.
she gets decimated in a pretty graphic shark scene by
Yeah.
the tiger shark. Let's real quick talk about the animal murder.
Uh, well, first of all, the shark itself is it sounded like he was like a creepy pervert. Which is how the movie opens. So you're like, oh wow, am I watching that One Missed Call movie?
Yeah, no, you're right. The shark does have such a horrible sound.
He's like, yeah,
Oh.
he's very much out of the 80s, like the whole they have 900 numbers for that.
Yeah, no, totally. He's a perv. He's a total perv. Obviously, he's hanging around this beach. He just wants to feast on nude people. So,
Which he does. I'd say what there's not many kills in this, but I'd
no,
say the vast majority of them are nude women.
I'd say at least two. Yeah, at least a half or more for nude women. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, and intermittently, there's lots of beautiful shots of underwater spearfishing.
I think that was actual footage.
I think it was. No, it is for a fact, 100% fact. It's one of like the little tidbits about this movie if you read about it, and it's they don't know how many. It's like that one thing we had for that one movie. Well, we don't know how many rats were killed during the filming. It was like thousands.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like this is like like I think a lot of stingrays suffered for the.
I'm sure of it. And you know, the ones that made me worry were the shark scenes.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering, like, are they killing real sharks here?
At first, I was certain that they weren't. By the end of the movie, I was certain that they were.
At first, I was so. I mean, the very first shark encounter you have is the I don't know if they ever give the name of the I don't know, the guy with like the kind of dyed blonde hair.
Oh yeah, like their cabin boy.
The cabin boy, like he pulls the shark up and he's like, I don't know if he's dead, but I'm gonna hit him anyway.
Yeah.
I love it. He just starts beating the hell out of this shark. So I was kind of opposite of you. At first, I was like, you know what? These are like real sharks. I think this is pretty crazy. But then towards the end, I was like, you know, I think I know the footage is real, but I think the sharks might not be because like when Miguel is like, I mean, he's just literally chomped in half. Like there is a impressive looking shark swimming away with Miguel's head in his mouth. So
that was great. Yeah, I
yeah.
love that. And his guts were super real. Whatever guts those were real guts.
Yeah. So and Andreas Garcia, he did do movies afterwards, so I know he was.
It wasn't his guts. No,
Yeah,
it wasn't his guts. No, it was probably a sheep or something that they clubbed in the head on the beach.
Off screen. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the cabrito from lunch.
And this movie, it's so Hugo Stiglitz, I think is how you pronounce the name. He is so funny in this movie, and forgetting like dubbing or whatever, like he just has these dead eyes.
Oh.
And sometimes the camera will just focus on him, and he'll have this creepy smile on his face, and he's just like staring into somebody's soul.
Dude, like there's so many scenes that I was like, is he about to lose it? And then he like and then he starts to smile and he's like taking off his clothes. It's like, all right, Steven's game, I guess. He just had to think about it. It's all good.
That his character is so, because you're right, him and Miguel, like the initial confrontation, it ends in a fist. Well, Steven knocking him out, basically. Also, funny thing about this movie is it's in English for the majority. Some of it's in Spanish, but not all of it is subtitled. Right. And that exchange isn't subtitled, but it's actually really hilarious because Steven comes up to Miguel and Miguel's like, hey, come on, why don't you sit down here with me? And then they're talking or whatever, and they're going back and forth. And I can only pick up bits and pieces of it. My Spanish isn't the best, but there comes a point where Steven when he's ignoring Miguel and he's only talking to the woman. And then Miguel tells him, you know what? I rescind my invitation. Fuck off. And that's when Steven knocks him out or
Yeah.
punches him.
No, it's the dialogue in this movie was actually pretty funny. There was the cabin boy had some lines in it. He also, by far, the party that got broken up the earliest was his party on top.
He was just
top
having
deck.
it.
Yeah, he just invites all his naked friends over to party, dude. It was great.
Not enough of that guy. I really liked him.
I did too. Not that our leads weren't great, but like you said, this movie turns from like, well, I had no idea. I guess there's a shark. It kills the one girl. You're like, okay, well, they're gonna start hunting sharks apparently at some point in time. No,
Right.
no, not for a good long time. What you are now introduced to, and I don't even remember how they meet her. There's a British chick who shows up.
Yeah, she is just hanging out at a bar.
Yeah,
And
they
then,
are.
and they happen to be there. And then they're like, I bet I can sleep with her first. No, I bet I will.
That's what it was.
So they both go and talk to her, take her to Steven's yacht, and both proceed
They
to sleep
both
with her.
sleep with her. Yeah. And then they basically wake up and are like, we're in a relationship now, everybody. The number one rule is no falling in love.
Yeah.
Rule number 2, anything goes, baby.
Yeah, it's 2 for 1 and 1 for 2. Just amazing. When they wake up the next morning, there's this awesome scene of Steven in the kitchen, just wearing an apron, ass naked.
Ass naked, yeah.
Asking him what kind of eggs they want.
Yeah. And by the way, this is the only single woman that they approach. Otherwise, these guys always approach women in pairs.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Otherwise it's two, it's always 2 for 1. But,
it is with them. Like Miguel, I love how he's very open about the fact that he is a gigolo. He's just out to, and he's basically using those skills on Steven.
Yeah. He's like, hey, sometimes I pay, sometimes they pay.
Yeah, but
we all sort out the checks in the morning.
And they have a bet at one point where he's like, if I lose the bet, you have to pay for everything, like you always do.
Yeah. They're always like ribbing each other and shit. Yeah, they love it.
Just some cool shit. A great cameo towards the end for Three's Company's fan, the Terry. So this is the
yeah.
Terry is in fact one of the women who.
That's right. Yeah. Well, gotta have topless babes. She better be one of them.
Exactly. And if you can't find Tintorera, because it is on YouTube, it's not on any number. You can always watch Mallrats to see her topless.
Oh yeah.